American culture, y'all, is language. Our own way of talking, that rhythm, that slang. People call it Black American vernacular English. That's us. It's music, blues, jazz, gospel, hip-hop, the sound of the world since we made it. It's soul food that tastes like home. It's strong community and church roots holding us together when the storm hit. Black American culture is rooted in resilience, in resistance, and fighting back when the world says we can't. That's right. Hoodoo, our spiritual science. 50,000 patents and count. Everything we touch, we remix, we reimagine. Our culture makes...
I hate that everybody wants to be a part of Black American culture. Not everybody trying to say they were a part of the rap movement. No, the fuck y'all was not. No, the fuck y'all was not. Y'all are weird and sick and obsessed with us, bro. Like, I feel like Black Americans need to separate from everybody. I'm sorry to say it like this. I have love for everybody, but as a Black American, we need to get the fuck from everybody. It's like every day, Black American this, Black American that. Y'all are dick writers, bro. It makes no sense. Let me tell y'all something, because if y'all could have did what we did, y'all would have already done it. The reason why nobody has done what we did is because can't nobody do it. It's starting to give jealousy like, oh, they were slaves but still came out on top. Like, that's what it's giving. Like, it's like people cannot fathom that we had the most tragic slave trade and still came out on top. I think that really fucks with people's like mental, like, how could they be slaves and still do better than us? That's what it's giving. Because I don't understand the obsession. Everybody wants to be a part of everything that we do. Like,
hi, how you doing, guys? Welcome back again to the channel. My name is Olivia. You see, Black Americans culture is one culture that everybody's mimicking, but they don't want to admit it. Yes, this is a culture that Africans are using, Asians are using, name it. All of us are using Black Americans culture. But we don't want to acknowledge the fact that they're the ones that own the culture that we are cosplaying. They're the ones that own the culture that we are collecting, right? And the fact that we still come online to bash them, we still come online to say, oh, you guys are nobody, you guys have nothing, is crazy. Like, I've seen a lot of people come online, even Africans, to come online and say, Black Americans, the culture you guys are claiming to have is not your culture. And I was like, whose own? Your father? So it's crazy. Okay, the culture you guys are using are for Black Americans. Anyways, let me leave you guys to watch to the end and make sure you learn. Okay, and I'll come back with more commentaries. Don't go anywhere. Stay with me, family.
Only Black people can tell you, you better do something that you're already currently doing as a compliment to what you're doing. Only Black people can tell you, listen, and not have anything to say. Only Black people can ask, who made this? And puts the entire room on pins and needles because they don't know if it's going to be a compliment or a criticism after the question. Only Black people can figure out what your dad's name is because he gave you his name and he added an A to the end because you're a girl. Only Black people can give you unsolicited advice, and when you don't accept it, tell you, well, I ain't telling you nothing else. Only Black people can show up to a function late and still get mad that it's not starting on time. And I love every second of it.
Being a Black American is everybody wanting a piece of your culture while belittling you and saying you have no culture in the process. We have the Hispanic community that can't stop saying nigga because we say it. We have the Asian community that started rapping and then dressing like we did in the 1990s. We have white people that portray our culture. Then when they make enough money, they go back to their white roots. We have Black Islanders saying we don't know where we came from and we both were on that same slave ship. They were just dropped off sooner. We have Black British people that say we have no culture while all their actors come over to America and portray us. And then when it comes to the African communities, they say we have no culture because we don't know where we came from. Meanwhile, they talk like us, they sound like us, and they dress like us. But for some reason, we don't have a culture. And I say this to say, we are so welcoming to everyone else in our community, but are they welcoming and opening to us? No, not really. When it comes to jobs, they end up only hiring their own. When it comes to something being mutual benefit, they benefit from us and our culture, but we don't really benefit from theirs. So going forward, unless these people are welcoming and opening to their culture as much as we are, we need to draw a hard line in the sand and stop being so welcoming and opening.
You know what I'm thinking about? Wherever you are, especially in the United States, whatever ethnic holiday is celebrated, Black people will celebrate it. We'll have fun. We'll just go along and have fun. Oktoberfest, Cinco de Mayo, Mayfair, Scandinavia Fair. In New York, because New York has so many great Jewish holidays, Black people be celebrating those too. Just right up in the mix. Oktoberfest, Cinco de Mayo, Denali, Festival of Lights, like whatever you could think of. If it is celebrated with some type of event in your area and there's Black people will have a good time with it. Right? Chinese New Year in California, they have Asian Pacific Islander days, just stuff. And we just be like, hey, there's a party, there's some people having a good time, some food, some music. Let's go. Like, I've been to so many fairs and festivals celebrating people's cultures because it's wonderful to do. It really is. And even you think about some American holidays that were made not thinking about Black people. Labor Day, anyone think about us for that, right? Even though Black people invented Memorial Day, once it got co-opted and turned into something else, they weren't thinking about us. All that stuff. Thanksgiving, we on board for every 4th of July. You think they were doing 4th of July thinking about Black people? Nope. But we just be out there, hey, we're going to have a good time, get some music, get some Frankie Beverly, have a good time. But man, we have Black History Month. And people, so many Americans take it as an opportunity, particularly online. At work, there's just microaggressions and macro, but microaggressions. But online, it's like people take the opportunity to just start going in and being the worst humans, specifically to Black people, specifically about Black History Month. And Black History Month, they ain't hurt nobody. They ain't hurt nobody. Black History Month has not caused a disruption in anybody's lives, work, pay, health, nothing. It's just us saying, we're going to do this. And if we're being completely honest, you know what we like to say Black history is American history? Black history in the United States is also white people history. Now, happy Black History Month.
Black American culture is constantly evolving, which is why a lot of other people perceive us as not having culture. Most cultures haven't evolved since the start of colonialism. Their idea of culture is preserving traditions, whereas we reinvent ourselves every decade. What Black culture was 50 years ago is nowhere near what Black culture is today. Not even 20 years ago is Black culture the same. Everyone else is either stuck in the past or assimilating to white supremacy. We are constantly reinventing ourselves. We're constantly reinventing our music, our sound, our words and language, our food, our dress. And to the outside perspective, that looks to people that we don't know who we are. But it's not that we don't know who we are. It's that we are constantly evolving. We don't feel a need to hold on to the traditions of the past because the past wasn't perfect. Yes, there were great things about the past, but everything has room to improve. While everything hasn't gotten better, a lot of things have. And I think a lot of people feel that with the constant increase of colonialism and white assimilation, that they are losing access to their culture, where we feel like there's always room to improve our culture, add to the culture, grow the culture. We're spreading our culture everywhere we go, where a lot of people are hiding their culture in fear of it being taken. And to some extent, we do feel that fear too. But for us, we always know that we can create more. So I feel like that's why a lot of people perceive us as not having identities or cultures, because they can't lock on to one specific thing that is Black culture, because we're constantly changing it.
I need someone to explain to me what's so hard about understanding that Black Americans have over 400 years of history and culture. What is so difficult in conceptualizing that? We was literally the backbone of and built a new country by force. Like, America would not be what it was and what it is today without Black Americans. 400 years of history, of culture, of families, of generations. What makes you think we're lost at all and don't have any connection to any roots? Right? And let's not talk about lineages to Africa for a second, so we could talk about that all day long. We could never know where our people were from in Africa, and we would still have roots. I don't know why that's so difficult to conceptualize. And actually, you know what? There's always so much talk about Black Americans needing to be proud and have pride in our origins in Africa. And I agree I agree with y'all. I've been to the continent, one country, Senegal, and I felt so much pride and connection there. And I agree so much, I have so much connection that the rest of y'all should have pride in Black Americans too. Where's your pride in Black Americans as not being Black Americans? Our ancestors was your ancestors' cousins. They were family, baby, and they brought and cultivated an entire culture while surviving bondage, a thriving culture, mind you. A culture that we love, talking about having a lot of origins in Africa. Okay, so if we're so connected, right? Have pride in the culture that we built here. Have pride in the culture that literally is the backbone of an entire country. Not just America, but the entire Western Hemisphere due to forced labor. They still brought culture that thrived in North America, and the Caribbean, and Latin America, and South America. Have pride in us the same way that we should have pride in our origins elsewhere, okay? We're not lost. We have roots. We have culture. We have history.
I challenge you to think of something truly American. Don't worry, I'll wait.
I challenge you to highlight the contributions of immigrants without erasing Black American culture. Arguably the most influential culture on the planet, argue with a wall. There is not a single continent on this planet that does not imitate Black American culture in some fucking way. You almost had it when you mentioned rhythm and blues, but then you lumped us in with immigrants, and we are not immigrants, neither is our culture. Yes, American culture absolutely takes from immigrant culture. The message is correct. What isn't correct is ignoring Black American culture, which is uniquely Black American. It's not immigrant culture. It's not African culture. It is Black American culture that has been being built from the ground up for the last 400 plus years by Black Americans. We can all acknowledge the contributions of immigrants and their culture without erasing Black American culture.
You know, I think a lot of people sometimes reach their darkest days before they see light. And I think right now for Black people, that time is now for us. We've been through so much abuse, so much trauma, so much. And I think we're finally realizing that this system, this country, these others, we're never going to do it for us. And it's time for us to do it for ourselves. It's always been time. I know that they fight us. I know they try to kill our leaders. We know what happens when Black people try to mobilize and organize and do our own fucking shit because we're the bomb. But we gotta keep going. Like, we're stronger than ever. We're more powerful than ever. We have more influence. We have more creativity. We have more life than anyone else. And once we start realizing that and putting that shit into ourselves, like with Black Project 2025 and like cultivating what we can do, wow. So
we can work in construction and smell nice. You ain't lying, because you got to think, we were raised to bathe ourselves. You get what I'm saying? We was raised to groom ourselves. We was raised to make sure we smell good. Our mamas and daddies didn't allow us to go to school funky. You get what I'm saying? They made sure our clothes was clean, you know. They made sure of that, yo. Grandma and granddaddy, if you come, you couldn't even sit in the chair, in the stool. When you know some people house, like when you go through their door, some grandma and granddaddy house, when you go through that front door under the garage, the kitchen right there, you couldn't even sit on the stool if you ain't take a bath yet. You know, my mama used to say, boy, you smell like you've been rolling with the puppies. So I had to take a bath, you know. So we just raised like that to be very hygienic. You know what I'm saying? We were raised to be clean. Even our homes smell good. You know, incense. Like we like to light incense in our homes. We have plug-ins. Even me, like I love going to what's that? Bath and Body Works or Bath and Body Works. Man, I order so much shit from there. You know, cause I like the smell. I like my home to smell good. You get what I'm saying? Women like to smell good. Women like to smell fruity. Women love perfume. Bond number 9. You know what I'm saying? Like, women like to wear this shit. Men like to smell good. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like we just different, bro. We just different. Even the soaps we use, certain soaps we use, certain scents we use. You know what I mean? Like even carpet freshener. You know, certain carpet freshener we use. You know, like we just like to smell good. You know, but these other ethnic groups, they don't care. They house just smell like spicy food, and you know, in a wet shoe. That's how they house smell, like a spicy food in a wet shoe. You know how stank a wet shoe gets. So yeah, we clean people, man. We very hygienic people, very. I'm just trying to think. I don't know no group of people around the world. Just not Africans or Caribbeans or any other, or I don't know no other group of people that take pride in their hygiene like us, like Black Americans. I just don't know, because you'll go to the club, you might run to a YT person, you might run to an African or Caribbean, and when they get to dancing and shit, they be kind of funky. That's true. That's true. You know, you walk past other groups of people, and they smell your cologne or they smell your perfume. People stop. I never stopped a YT person or African person. What you got on? It always be a black person I stop. So I don't know. We just different.
So when I was in Europe, I did notice a lot of Africans cosplaying as Black Americans, and it was one of the craziest things for me to like wrap my head around. At first, I'm like, why do you want to do this? Until I realized it's because they have certain benefits that come with being a Black American. Because normally when you think of a Black American, you don't really think of the fact that you're an American before you're Black. You think of the fact you're Black before you're American, because that's how it is in the United States, even though you've both been here since the 1600s. But when you get to Europe, you're American first, especially people hear your accent, they see the way you dress. And I can understand why some people would want those privileges, because it does make life a lot easier. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times like I've been in European countries and I've been able to get help just because I'm an American versus the Africans that were really struggling. There's been plenty of times where I've been able to skip lines, I've been able to meet people, I've been able to do pretty much whatever just on behalf of my passport. And it's not like there's a material difference between me and the other African there. Like, we're both pretty similar individuals, same age, like nothing's really started out. But people genuinely were just more happy that I was an American being a tourist there, and they thought that the African there was somebody that needed help, and nobody really likes to help people. So it resulted in a lot of them cosplaying Americans to get better treatment, and it's one of the craziest things ever.
I'm gonna hold your hands real tight when I say this because I love you, but if you're a Black American, you absolutely have culture. Remember this. If we don't have culture, then what is it that the world is constantly trying to copy? I'm just saying, our music literally has moved and shaped the globe. Our flavor has built traditions from soul food to southern staples. Our style sets trends before they literally even have names. Our rhythm, our slang, our creativity, it's all been studied, borrowed, and monetized. But here's what they can't copy. They can't copy our resolve. They can't copy our faith. They can't copy our endurance. And they can never copy our ability to run that pain into power. We're not less than. We're more than conquerors. And we have every right to be proud of who we are, baby. I love being Black, and my Black is beautiful. All right, thank you for your daily motivation. I love you, but God love you the best.
I never made a video on this because I wasn't sure if it was necessary, but the conversation keeps popping up. So I thought I'd take some time to explain why some people still hold the false belief that Black Americans don't have a culture. But first, close your eyes with me for a second and imagine a person that is Ashanti, that is Igbo, that is Bokongo, that is Mandinka. Okay, open your eyes. That's a Black American. That's a lot of powerful ancestry and culture. There are some African Americans that are also the descendants of Native Americans due to the mixing of enslaved Africans and maroon Africans with local Native American populations, though that is often overestimated. There's also the European ancestry that we have that we don't celebrate for obvious reasons, but essentially Black Americans have a culture of cultures and ethnicity of ethnicities. And over time, we became recognized as an overall ethnicity of either African American or Black American, whichever term people prefer to use. So not only do we have culture, we have cultures. And one of the easiest ways to look at the variation of African American cultures is by region. So if you were to look at the way people speak, dress, and eat according to region, you would see a lot of differences between Black folks that live in the Southeast, like me growing up in Georgia and South Carolina, and someone that grew up in the Northeast in New York, or someone from the Southwest in Texas and someone from the Northwest. There would be a lot of differences culturally, but then we would all also belong to the overall African American culture and ethnicity. Now, the reason why someone might have the mistaken belief that we don't have a culture is really due to chattel slavery. Due to the legacy of chattel slavery, almost everything that African Americans create is considered to be something that we don't have ownership over. And it is something that is repeatedly taken and repackaged by mainstream white America. And this happens over and over again. A recent example is the different dances on the Clock app, where people were taking them and getting the credit, but it originated from Black creators. The same thing happened long ago with rock and roll, with legends like Little Richard, but people like Elvis Presley getting the credit, even though he stole everything. So what you are witnessing is not a people that don't have a culture. You've just witnessed repeated cultural theft.
I heard an African guy say that Black Americans have no culture. To say that is to say that America has no culture. There's no such thing as American culture. Anything you consider American culture, the foundation came from Black people. Whether it's the music, the slang, food, fashion, sports, resilience. Hell, if you think America is racist, you can't have racism without Black people. So anything you consider American culture is Black American culture, period. Think I'm lying? Imagine America without the influence of Black Americans. What are you left with? Yeah. Hell, imagine TikTok without the influence of Black Americans. Yeah. American culture is Black American culture, period. And I stand on it.
This is African American culture. And within this culture, there are many different sub-ethnic groups and languages spoken. Oftentimes, outside of our community, our cultural richness is overshadowed by the stereotypes highlighted in the media. African Americans are known for their resilience, creativity, and the ability to make a way out of no way. Through it all, we created one of the world's most influential cultures. Our impact can be seen even in distant regions of the world. I invite you to learn about African American culture and the richness of it, often imitated but never duplicated. And if you're one of the ones who like to school African Americans don't have no culture, you're choosing to remain ignorant on purpose. African Americans have a very rich and spectacular culture. And I'm so proud to be a part of this beautiful culture. Adoronantat waxenantat totobabi enanyak tedhashenanjug ilosasi.
Here's the thing about gatekeeping. We can literally sit down and trace the fact that many of our ancestors, our African ancestors that were both enslaved or that were in maroon communities or that escaped, went to various regions around the world. They left. They went to Haiti. They left. They went to the Dominican Republic. They left. They went to the Bahamas. And then we have folks from those areas that came here too. So we are literally engaging in an argument that we should gatekeep each other when our literal cousins are in these various locations. If I'm fighting someone from Barbados, there's a high chance that one of their relatives was an African that was originally in the United States. We're gatekeeping with no gates. It's futile.
Black American culture is about peace, abundance, and creation, not chaos, struggle, and destruction. That's the picture media painted on us. As a collective, everyone helped to manifest that image into real life, knowingly or unknowingly, by working for the matrix system. We are the ones that always push for peace, just to be gaslit by the people that works for the system. This is what causes the chaos. We are the ones with a birthright to abundance, but we are targeted by fraudulent robbers and homicidal tyrants that coerces us into giving up our right to free speech, land, and our possessions. This is what creates the struggle. We are the ones that constantly create, whether it's physical like a phone or metaphysical, like music. There's two sides to everything, negative and positive, and the enemies knows that. This is why the phones that was made for positive, friendly communication, which turned negative by being used to coordinate war plans. This is how music that was made to raise our frequency was turned into a tool to lower our frequency. This is how our creations was turned into our own destruction of our own image. They don't want this world to know that we are the basis of reality because all the power lives inside of us. This is why their deceptive lies give them our power, and the truth returns the power back to us. This is why they shadow ban people like me. They don't want us to wake y'all up. We ain't got no more time for games. It's time to get serious and take accountability for our mistakes so it never happens again. Also, finally taking responsibility of building and expanding the universe. Much love to my guys and goddesses for being born into a war and not falling into the underworld legions.
I think it's actually quite interesting to see how Black Americans took something from American colonialism and took a word from American colonialism, nigga, obviously, and turned it into a term of endearment for all Black people around the world who went through colonialism. Another way to show that we contribute something, because we started the word nigga in America, period, point blank, after American colonialism happened, right? Everybody, every Black culture uses the word nigga as a term of endearment, right? I'm just saying, I think it's quite interesting. I just think it's quite interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping.
Okay, y'all, I get real protective when it comes to my people, and I got something I want to get off my chest. A lot of what the world calls popular culture is actually Black American culture. And most people don't even realize how much they consume it. And it's not just the white folks, it's everybody. The experience that I'll have on this app is opening up the comments and seeing people's of the total population. And you're taught that your culture isn't valuable, defending it becomes harder. So when other groups try to, and let me be clear, this isn't about gatekeeping, culture spreads, that's normal. What it's about is attribution. And if you start tracing where these trends, and when I say Black Americans, I'm talking about the descendants of the free and enslaved Africans. And when I say Black Americans, I'm talking about the descendants of the free and enslaved Africans who were in what became the. And when I say Black Americans, I'm talking about the descendants of the free and enslaved Africans. And I see that happen. And that didn't start on this app. The app got it from us. Words like woke were in Black communities long before they became political buzzwords. People will try to copy the rhythm of our speech or our call and response patterns or the way we stress, and sometimes our language gets broadly labeled as Southern American English. But that's just erasure. Research shows that Black American speech had a major influence on Southern white dialects. But as origins are researched, it often gets labeled as Southern American. And as I said, this isn't just limited to white people. Black immigrants and people across the diaspora consume Black American music, slang, fashion, and film. They grow up on our hip hop, they quote our movies, they remix our language, but it often gets treated as something that just came from the mainstream. And sometimes the call is coming from inside the house, where the erasure is coming from within the Black American community.
Black Americans are never letting a white person saying the hard R slide. We're never letting it slide. I don't care if you got a disability. I don't care if it's a 2-year-old walking around saying it. I don't care if it's your parakeet repeating it. We're never letting it slide. That's what you don't understand about us. We stand on business. Okay, we know what our culture is, and our culture is to not let that slide. We do not care. Okay, Y'all can talk until you're blue in the face. Bring out all your disability advocate books. We don't care. We don't care. We're never letting it slide. We do not care. Like, get that through your heads. Apologize to us and move on. Okay? That's who we are. That's our culture. That's why I love being a Black American to this day.
I just want to add to this discourse that's going on again. It's like, how often are we going to keep doing this? Having this discourse that, like, Black folk in the U.S., you know, quote unquote, don't have culture, have never built anything. Like, this is not, this is getting frustrating. I don't know why. It just seems like that Black Americans, Solons, or whatever you want to call it, FBAs, or whatever the other version you want to call us, are the only Black groups that are allowed to be crapped on and claim to be told they don't have any culture. It is really disappointing. And the common thing that keeps coming up is you don't know where your people's from. And, you know, as a Black American who is you know, believes in Pan-Africanism in many ways, I find this thought process very disconcerting, especially since they never say this about Black folk from the Caribbean or Latin America. Black Americans have a culture. I am not going to, you know, get into that. Like, come on now, let's be for real. Black Americans are the second largest African diasporic population on this world, only behind Afro-Brazilians. So it's like, let's be real. Let's be truly and truly real. Additionally, some folk keep saying that you don't know where your peoples is from. I could tell you where my peoples are from. Like, I can go back multiple generations, which is a blessing, on some of my branches. And, you know, I've never found anyone who is not born in the United States, or in what became the United States. And, like, I know I'm Black. I know I'm African. You will never hear me. I'm not one of those people that say, you know, all Black Americans were here first. Like, no, indigenous people were here. And many of us may have some indigenous ancestry, but I know my roots are in Africa. But that was at minimum for me 200 to 500 years ago, in that range, a minimum 200 years. And you cannot say that distance, both time and space, did not do anything. You know, Black folk were brought from all over Africa, but particularly West and Central Africa. And so it's like people, you know, many of them were not in the same ethnic groups, didn't speak the same languages, didn't have the same faiths. So, you know, of course, we amalgamated and built something here. Like, let's please be real. And also, Black American culture is not a monolith. There are many subcultures within it. Like, there's the Gila Geechee folk in the Sea Islands area, from North Florida through Southern North Carolina. You know, then there's the Appalachian Black folk. They have a different culture, and like, this is just two. And then, like, you know, the many descendants of Black folk who moved up to the north. They have a culture. And then also there are Black folk in the north before the Great Migrations. They have cultures. So it's like, we're not a monolith, and we have culture. So please, let's end this. For real, let's end this.
Alright guys, I hope you learned something in this my video today, that Black Americans have culture, and the culture you are using is for Black Americans. Okay, thank you for watching that video. If you find it very interesting, please make sure to like it, support the channel by subscribing to the channel. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.